everybody has their own set of criteria, right? And we're in nitpicking season right now. Everybody's trying to find something wrong with the guy. That's why all this nonsense about the Sports Illustrated article and Trevor Lawrence is just so overblown, and I think it's absurd. And quite honestly, I think it's ridiculous that the kid felt he needed to come out and clarify his comments. But we can't find anything wrong with him, so we got to manufacture something, right? Okay, so now he's not competitive. Now football is not his life. And so, okay, now we found that on him. Well, that's what everybody's looking to do. So whether you're the New York Jets number 2 and you're solidified on Zach Wilson, you have identified what you think his strengths are. You have identified what you think his areas of improvement need to be. You feel like you can live with those. And basically what you're saying is you can live with those because you feel like there are fewer of those than there are with Mac Jones, Trey Lance, and Justin Fields behind him. So everybody's just trying to come in. It's all about weighing risk, and what are the deficiencies, and which ones are you willing to live with?
Yeah, that's a great point. And we can go back. You can keep going back. I mean, you want to talk Peyton Manning, Ryan Leaf. How about Drew Bledsoe, Rick Myra? And you remember Rick Myra was the Rookie of the Year, and now he's in a witness protection program, right? You remember that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And again, too, I think a lot of it has to do with where do you go? What's the supporting cast around you? How quickly do you have to play? Are you thrust into duty right away, or do you get to sit and learn and allow 2 more draft classes to come in and 2 more free agent periods to come in before the roster that you're going to play with is when you see the field? And a lot of us don't know the answers to those questions. You make an assumption that if you get taken in the first 3 rounds, you're going to be the guy. You very well may be, but I keep going back to trying to find, weaknesses or find deficiencies in these guys. And I was asked this question about Trevor Lawrence. What's his deficiency? I said, you know what? It might be something that nobody knows about yet. And that is, how does he deal with failure? I mean, this guy's 84-2 as a starting quarterback going back to his freshman year in high school. He's rarely had to deal with adversity. He's rarely had to take the field on a team that wasn't the best team going in and the prohibitive favorite. Now, all of a sudden, he's going to be thrust into a situation where they're not even going to be close to the best team that's taking the field. He's probably going to get popped. He's going to get beat up. There's going to be some things that don't go his way. So then my question would naturally be, how does he respond to those things? I'm not saying that he won't respond well, but if you're looking for an unknown, you're looking for something you're trying to identify, that's an area that is a complete mystery because we never saw it take place over the last 7 years.
No, that's a great point. Thom Luginbill with us. Now, do you feel like, now that the book is closed on the Trevor Lawrence college experience, there were times where he went through stretches of games where he didn't look great. He did not win the Heisman. Everybody thought, Bolt is, that he was, every year he was right up there at the top of the list, but Peyton Manning didn't win the Heisman ever either. He won a lot of football games, won national championship games. Did Trevor Lawrence, at the end of the day, was his college career maximized? Do you think that he was as good as he could have been in college, or is he a guy do you think could be actually a better pro than he was in college?
Yeah, I think his college career was maximized, but that doesn't mean that his ceiling is low. I still think he has a very high ceiling for development. I still think that there's a lot to mold there in terms of the clay sculpture. So I don't think his story is anywhere near finished. Just, the one thing, in relationship, especially to the Sports Illustrated article, when you are a true freshman and you jump into college football and you sign with a team that's got a returning starter that took you to the college football playoff, you take the job away from that guy, you lead your team to a national championship as a true freshman. Now, most kids at that time do not have the perspective, the maturity, the emotional wherewithal to handle the offseason that follows that type of accomplishment. And he never took a step back. He did not start all of a sudden, listening to all the people patting him on the back and reading the press clippings. He just forged forward. And I think that takes an incredible amount of mental toughness, because the younger you are, how do you not fall victim to that to some degree? And he never did. And I think that kind of defines who he is as a guy.
Now, when we talk about, we mentioned Zach Wilson, and then there's Trey Lance. That's one of the Super 5 quarterbacks that's going to be picked in the first round. I'm sure maybe I should say, all in the top 10 picks of the draft, which would be unprecedented. The record for guys, though, that were not Power 5 conference quarterbacks is not great over the last 5, 8, 9 years. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Carson Wentz had a moment, got paid, and then he kind of fell off last year. We'll see if he still can do things. But talking about guys like Blake Bortles and Paxton Lynch and, other guys like that, is there a concern about that? Because you played at both levels. You played at the Power 5 level at Georgia Tech. You played at the smaller college level. Is there a concern? Is it a legit concern to say, look, guys that don't play Power 5 football, it's a real risk when you're talking about Trey Lance and you're even talking about Zach Wilson?
I think it can be. I think I would probably say that the risk is greater when you're talking about a top 5 or top 10 overall selection from the FCS level as opposed to the Group of 5 level. Let's not forget that.
Which BYU is borderline Group of 5 or Power 5.
Well, they're borderline, and they're not even considered Group of 5. They're just considered FBS independent because, and I go back to 2 years ago, and I had both of these games. They go on the road, they scheduled Tennessee, they beat them in double overtime. The following week, they got USC at home. They beat them at home. So their schedule is always a mix of high profile. I think they even played Washington in that season too, of high profile Power 5 teams and then high profile Group of 5 teams. So that one's a little bit unique. But you're right. Whether it's you want to say a Chad Pennington out of Marshall or Byron Leftwich or a lot of the guys outside of Roethlisberger that we've seen come from the MAC. We've seen, Kellen Moore have a cup of coffee, but rarely are you in the discussion for a top overall pick or top 5 overall pick. And, with Trey Lance, I think people look at him and they see 3 years down the road. I think if you look at him, you're projecting to take him and not play with him. They are in love with his decision-making. I mean, listen, you go 571 attempts with only 1 interception. That's almost impossible to accomplish. Like, even bad luck should have gotten you a second interception. So I think that's of note. That's a positive. Hasn't played a lot. The season he played was remarkable. So he's probably the riskiest of a bunch overall.
Yeah, Thom Luginbill with us, ESPN, talking about these quarterbacks. I'll get to Mac Jones and Justin Fields here in a moment, but we're all talking about these top 5 guys. Kellen Monda's gotten a lot of love. Kyle Trask is going to be a later round draft pick. Some people even talk about Felipe Franks, who kind of bounced back, at Arkansas for his senior year. Is there a guy that's not going to be one of these first-round guys? People forget, not even Jalen Hurts was a first-round guy, but there's a lot of guys that, that are going to be drafted later on. Is there one of those guys that you say, keep an eye on this dude? He's going to go into 3rd round, and you watch 3 years from now, he'll be an NFL starter.
I think a lot of people in that regard are pointing to Kellen Mond there, and they're doing so because it's very obvious that he's aced the interview process. He's probably been way ahead of the curve in terms of theory of the game and X's and O's, probably as much as even some of the first-round projected guys, because that offense requires so much of you. I still think that, there's some deficiencies there, but he's played so many snaps. He's so experienced, and he's proven that he's got tremendous aptitude to process. I mean, I think I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I think people feel like, okay, I'm not gonna sleep on Dak Prescott again. If
there is a good name, right?
Maybe we need to start taking a closer look. I played a ton of snaps, full slate of games, versus a limited sample size. So I don't know if there's anybody out there that I just sit there and say, wow, I don't think it's Sam Ehlinger. I don't see that. I don't think it's Shane Buechele. Could it be a guy like Ian Book, who's never going to have the physical stature that you're going to want as far as ideal physical tools, but could he be Colt McCoy in the NFL? Could he be one of those guys that's so smart, does the right things, works hard, latches on with somebody, and then ends up getting cut, but the people he latched on with didn't want to cut him, he really liked him, and next thing you know, he gets picked up and he plays 8-9 years.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a significant cliff with this quarterback prospect.
Yeah, ironic if he lasts longer than Brady Quinn did, in the NFL. To the Mac Jones, Justin Fields story, because this is everybody says the draft begins at 3 and that the 49ers go up to 3 specifically to get Mac Jones. It was all Mac Jones. Now the conversation has changed. There were 2 parts to the story. One, there was that story that kind of came out that, questioning whether or not Justin Fields had a great work ethic. But one of your colleagues, Dan Orlovsky, said that. And that's about the ugliest thing you can say, about a quarterback leading up to the draft. When you hear that, that's a bad thing to say. But having said that, there's also the issue of, Ohio State quarterbacks and what they do and, how they perform when they get to the league and whether or not, it's really more of a system thing. You could say that about Alabama as well, although they're, already have a couple of guys in there that are now starters in the NFL. But having said all of that, first of all, your take on Justin Fields, and if you're sitting there in that tree hole and you're Kyle Shanahan, a quarterback guru, and you know what kind of offense he runs and so on, where do you think they're leaning? I mean, is this a Justin Fields strictly you got to go with the athlete, or Mac Jones the guy that has mad accuracy?
It's a great question, and it's funny that you brought up Dwayne Haskins, because the whole reason Dwayne Haskins is failing right now is the exact reason Justin Fields is being accused of, and that was a lack of work ethic, a lack of professionalism, not devoting himself to the game. I can tell you with Justin Fields, that stuff is categorically false. He's always been a worker. He's always been a guy that studies. He's always been a guy that the game is very, very important to him. But it's funny how the other guys from that place that won the first round, nobody ever asked that question. Right. Or at least it never seemed to be seeped out publicly. Listen, I am so I guess I'm in the minority here. I don't think there's even a question as far as physical attribute of who you would take here. It's Justin Fields. I'm not so sure either 2 of them are top 5 picks. I don't think Mac Jones is a top 10 overall talent. But I understand the fit because people look at Kyle Shanahan and they see a lot of similarities to Matt Ryan and Mac Jones, and they had such success with Matt Ryan in Atlanta. So there's a fit there. But then on the other side of the token, the game has evolved. We're seeing more and more Lamar Jackson-esque types. We're seeing more and more athleticism. Offenses are evolving around the quarterback's ability to make plays with his legs. Then Justin Fields is, without question, the guy that you should go with there. And I don't want to sit there and say you can go wrong with either, because I do think you can go wrong with both, to be honest with you. If Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't injured, we'd be talking about San Francisco taking Penei Sewell at this spot.
Right.
And being in great shape, pound for pound. He may be the best player in the entire draft. I would go Fields. I'm not as well. Let me phrase this with some perspective. If you go back with Mac Jones, if you recall, he was a verbal commitment to the University of Kentucky. He was about 6'1", 180 pounds, under-evaluated, under-recruited, total late fluke. Alabama ends up signing him as a second arm to Tua. I don't think there was ever really any intention that this guy would blossom into who he blossomed into. But my question that I've asked people is if he would have gone to Kentucky, even if he would have been a 2-year starter, 3-year starter, would we be talking about him as the top 5 overall pick?
God, no.
And it's a valid and legitimate question. I think another valid and legitimate question is if you took Zach Wilson and put him at Alabama, and you took Mac Jones and put him at BYU, would Alabama have the same season, and would BYU have had the same season? Yeah, I think Alabama would have. I'm not convinced BYU would have. There's not a skill guy at BYU that would be an Alabama student right now.
Right. Well, and speaking of those skill guys, that's the other question that came up. I mean, it was Devontae Smith forever, as far as, look, you could say Jamar Chase, but of the Alabama receivers between Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle, it was Devontae Smith forever, and then all of a sudden it became Jalen Waddle is going to be the first Alabama receiver off of the board. And a lot of Tyreek Hill type comparisons for Jalen Waddle. They're both small. One's slight and one's small. I mean, the smaller guy is more solid, and the taller guy is more slight. I see a lot of Lynn Swann, if you want to go old school. Maybe Marvin Harrison and Devontae Smith. That kind of a guy. But which of those 2 guys comes off the board first? And if you're, if you're some of those teams that are picking just outside of the top 5. are you chomping at the bit to get one of those, i.e., the Miami Dolphins?
Well, I can tell you right now that I do believe that of the three, Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Waddle, you can't go wrong. I think all three are hits. I really do. And it's interesting how there's a difference between being short and being small, right?
Yeah.
Jalen Waddle's short, but he's not small. But it's interesting with his stature, he's the one that got injured, and Devontae Smith didn't.
Right.
So you never know, right? You really, truly never know. But Jalen Waddle is a bigger version of Tyreek Hill. And I think as you look at the NFL evolving, you get that guy in space. And, it's hell on wheels. It really is. But I don't think you can go wrong in any way. I think all three of those guys are bona fide difference makers. They're ahead of the curve as route runners, so there'll be very little adjustment there. That might be the three most, I don't want to use the phrase can't miss because there's no such thing, but that's the three safest picks. If you had to choose, I don't think it's a difficult decision. You just throw them up against the board, take which one you want, and you'd be just fine. So would the other people taking the other two.
All right, before I let you go, Thom Luginbill with us, ESPN, chomping at the bit to get back to doing college football the way we're supposed to do college football this upcoming season. And in the SEC, some real interesting quarterback stories that are going to be going on. And we know that the SEC, they could change the name to the Hyperbole Conference because that's just the way the fans are here. But start with JT Daniels. My God. I mean, they're talking like he's a Heisman Trophy candidate. JT Daniels is a superstar, man. JT Daniels, 5 games. We saw him for 5 games. You know what I mean? Is JT Daniels, is he all of that in a cup of soup in your mind? Or you got to see more?
No, I think he's a combination of Matt Barkley and Jake Fromm with a stronger arm.
Yeah.
He's competent. And you know what? Georgia is so talented that all they need him to be is competent.
Right.
Okay? If he can be A.J. McCarron, if he can be my man Greg McElroy, if he can be a good, solid player that knows what to do with the football, then they're going to be in national championship contention because they're that good at the other spots, even without George Pickens. But the reality is he a difference maker? Is he Matt Corral? No. Is he Bryce Young? No. I don't even know if he's Miles Brennan. I did LSU spring game. They might have 3 legitimate quarterbacks. And They got their entire offensive line and almost their entire defense back. They're going to be pretty dang good. So, yeah, I'm of the belief that it's great that Georgia has a competent player under center, but by no means do I think he's a guy you win with, not necessarily if you got it in a tight game you constantly win because of.
Bo Nix looked good. Got fans a little bit fired up there. Had a couple of drops. His numbers would have been even better. Brian Harsin, Mike Bobo, they get their hands on him now. Third offensive coordinator, third offense in 3 years for the kid. That kind of sucks. But could this be, do you feel like this may be finally we see the Bo Nix that everybody saw coming out of high school?
Well, it has to be because he can't continue to stay on this up and down pace of inconsistency and inaccuracy. He has to take the next step. They're good enough in a lot of spots to be a really good football team. I think they're good enough on defense. I like what their back end's looking like. They can run the football. They're going to be more of a downhill team in their run game. I think you'll see some combination of under center and shotgun stuff. But it all comes down to him. I mean, look, that's the storyline this offseason in college football, is it not? You've got 3 quarterbacks at Ohio State, all compete to be the starter. Not one of them has even attempted a college pass. You got a new signal caller at Florida, new signal caller at South Carolina, new signal caller at Texas A&M. I could go across the board. There's teams all over America, Oregon, Clemson. Everybody's trying to figure out what that answer is. Bo Nix has enough under his belt now where he needs to prove he is the answer. And if he does, Auburn's going to be just fine. They're going to be able to run the football, and they'll play good defense. But they just can't have that yo-yo effect of the up and down production like they've had the last 2 years.
Yeah, and I note that, and I was going to ask about Miles Brennan and T.J. Finley and Max Johnson, and it does look like they've got some quarterbacks there. But I am interested. I want to end with the Matt Corral's comment. You threw him in there. You mentioned him in the same breath with in the JT Daniels, Bryce Young, which quarterback comes out of LSU. The Corral kid's pretty special, isn't he? I mean, and this could be a big step up now for Ole Miss with Lane Kiffin and that kid.
Remember when I told you in September last year that Zach Wilson was going to be a first-round draft choice?
Yes.
And we talked about that? Okay, so just mark it down.
He's your guy this year, huh? He's your
healthy.
Guy.
He stays healthy. He has unique physical abilities that will skyrocket him up people's boards.
There you go. And he's got a coach that knows how to coach him up. That's for sure when it comes to quarterbacks. Say what you want about Lane Kiffin. Tremendous stuff. All right, you guys already making plans for college football in the fall and having everything kind of back to normal. We know that in the Dirty South here, they're saying that we're going to have full crowds and everything. You're not going to be in a closet. Don't be doing a game in a closet.
I don't know.
Jeez.
I was still doing it in the closet last Saturday, so I'm hoping not. I think we all have our fingers crossed that we get hopefully back to a full sense of normalcy. We get back on the road where we need to be to broadcast these games, but we've got several months before that takes place. So we'll let people way above my pay grade make those choices.
All right, brother. Appreciate you as always. Hope to see you at SEC Media Days. Maybe we'll see you in Hoover. Who knows? We'll see you.
You never know.
We'll see if that happens. All right, man. Appreciate you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thom Luginbill. All right, let's get a break. We'll come back. Final segment of this hour next, right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show with Joe Hunk on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Guys, when we were 20, we never had to worry about spontaneity. And now that we've gotten older, spontaneity has been replaced with pills and injections. We're just trying to keep that intimacy, but it's taken away from spontaneity. At Advanced Life Clinic, we now offer GainsWave, which uses sound waves to non-invasively treat this issue with no need for pills or injections. Just give us a call, 256-888-9367, or check us out online, advancedlifeclinic.com.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
Jesus tells us to go the second mile. Well, sometimes it's hard enough to go the first mile. But when the Lord is number one in our lives, we not only go the first mile, but we embrace the second mile. We can talk all we want about Jesus and how important he is to us, but we show it in the second mile. In the second mile, the world has changed. In the second mile, the difference is made. In the second mile, the lost world sees Christ in us. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. And check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Want to call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline? We have a new number for you, 888-256-576-4977.
Hold it!
That's 256-576-4977.
Well, what do you know?
We promise this number will be the one we keep. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment, because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that, chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, 2317 Memorial Parkway. Check out our menu and even order online at BadDaddy'sBurgerBar.com.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner of University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. And a quick shout out to my son, Avery Seaton, number 19. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including our all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and the sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in the Kia. Go Mustangs!
I love overpriced stuff. Avocados, designer t-shirts, artisanal water, you name it. That's why I get my internet from the other guys. Paying more for the same stuff. What could be better?
Wow is better, because for just $29.99 per month, we give you the super fast, reliable internet you need and the awesome customer service you deserve. Switch to Internet 100 for just $29.99 per month. And now, learn how to get $150 on us at Huawei.com. Limited to new customers with auto pay and paperless billing, equipment taxes and fees extra. Offer subject to change. Restrictions and terms apply.
This is Wes Neighbor sitting here with Ann Adams. Ann, I understand you have some exciting news.
Yes, Wes, I do. Berkshire Hathaway Home Services was just recognized in the 30th annual Harris Poll Equitrend as the Real Estate Agency Brand of the Year and the most trusted real estate brand.
That is awesome news, Ann. You know, great companies in Huntsville, Alabama, winning awards is what we want. Is it a great time to list your home?
Yes, it is. The inventory is low and the market is heating up.
And I understand you're also looking for agents.
I am. We are so busy, Wes, we need agents to keep up with the demand.
Ann Adams and Rise Real Estate has been doing business in North Alabama for the last 35 years. If you want to do business with someone you can trust, she has been writing contracts since she was 9 years old. Call Ann today at 256-337-2625.
97.7 The Zone.
Now on Saturday, you are willing to give a little extra. Then you, because of your preparation and the things I'm trying to get across to you, and if we do that as a team, 11 at a time, 4 years from now, why, we'll be walking out of here national champion. And I'll tell you this, I expect nothing less.
97.7 The Zone.
From the WZDX Pinpoint Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A cooler afternoon across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. It's going to feel downright chilly at times. A mix of sunshine and cloud cover. Temperatures only climbing into the low and mid-50s, dropping into the mid-30s as we head into the overnight. Some patchy frost in the traditionally cooler areas is something that's not out of the realm of possibility. Partly sunny skies for your Thursday. Temperatures hanging out in the upper 50s and lower 60s. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Leading the way for sports talk in North Alabama.
Winning is the only thing that matters.
Thank you.
Yes, amen, I say yes.
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Thom Abraham, Joe Hunk, 97.7 ESPN. Glad you were with us. Dave Parker coming up top of the hour. I know, Joe, it's pre-Joe. But come on, man. It's the Cobra.
Oh, the We Are Family Pirates, man, are famous. It doesn't matter if it's pre-Joe or not. There's a lot of great things that happen pre-Joe that is extremely interesting to me.
Cobra. Is that one of the great baseball nicknames ever, the Cobra? I mean, you know.
Oh, that is a legit name. And so legit that he put it on his book. That's what's so great about it.
Yeah. It's going to be tremendous. I'm looking forward to talking to him and, and getting his thought. You think he's ever met the Sister Sledge? You know what I mean? That was such a big part of that team. Do you think
I'm going to go out and I'm going to say that Sister Sledge probably went on tour in Pittsburgh the next season. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that.
I wonder if they performed like live at a game or something, before a game or something like that, maybe.
I'm going to say if you can go back and find the Sister Sledge tour, you will find a Pittsburgh stop. You might have found it in 1979.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, though, that maybe even as part of the World Series celebration.
They were in the parade?
Yeah, something like that. I got to ask him. All right. We'll come back. Dave Parker is next. We're talking some country hardball right here. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the University of Alabama, this is Crimson Tide Today. It's a daily update on Bama sports, and it's brought to you by Conecuh Sausage, a true Southern flavor since 1947, and now the official smoked sausage of the Crimson Tide. Visit online at ConecuhSausage.com. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Huber. In addition to winning 2 individual NCAA championships and finishing 5th in the nation this season, the Alabama gymnastics team saw 4 student athletes earn 8 championship All-America honors over the weekend. Luisa Blanco, Makari Doggett, Lexi Graber, and Shaylin Olsen all earned the accolades, which are based on individual finishes in Friday's semifinal sessions, with first-team honors going to gymnasts who finished in the top 4 of their semifinal. In all, 78 Alabama gymnasts have combined to earn 391 All-America honors. That total includes championship All-America honors as well as regular season All-America recognition, which began in 2013. I'll have more in a moment.
The Crimson Tide's newest partner is already an Alabama favorite. Conecuh Sausage is now the official smoked sausage of the Crimson Tide. Made in Evergreen, Alabama, Conecuh's tradition of making the finest hickory smoked sausage hasn't changed in over 70 years. Always great for breakfast, Conecuh Sausage is now a tailgate grilling favorite. Conecuh Sausage, a true Southern flavor since 1947, and now the official smoked sausage of the Crimson Tide.
Alabama's Sam Doucette of men's swimming and diving and Albert Cortina Poe of women's tennis have been named finalists for the Southeastern Conference Men's and Women's Scholar Athletes of the Year and the H. Boyd McWhirter Postgraduate Scholarships. The H. Boyd McWhirter Postgraduate Scholarship has been presented by the SEC to the league's top male and female scholar athletes since 1986, and this year's winners will be named on May 18th. And that's your Bama Update. Crimson Tide Today brought to you by Conecuh Sausage. Crimson Tide Today is a production of the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
Today's pros need today's tools, and nobody understands that better than the Home Depot. Our app makes it simpler to get supplies ordered and delivered. Our online project calculators cut guesswork and last-second supply runs. Job site delivery puts what you need where and when you need it. And rental puts the right equipment in your hands, but not your overhead. That's how today's pros get more done. New tech, new tools, old-fashioned hard work. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
Thom Luginbill here for Woody Anderson Ford. When I was in the Tennessee Valley, one of the things that impressed me the most was the quality of the people. People like Bobby White and his team at Woody Anderson Ford. And now you can experience the tremendous new service lanes and showroom at Woody Anderson Ford at Jordan and Sparkman, or just stop by for breakfast or lunch at Henry's Mustang Cafe. And in Madison, visit Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, just south of 72. Like a great college football tradition, always there, Woody Anderson Ford.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, in an interview with the Chris Collinsworth podcast featuring Richard Sherman, said he's ahead of schedule following reconstructive knee surgery to repair injuries that ended his rookie season early, added he should be ready for the team's season opener. NBA, the Steph Curry show continues tonight when he and the Warriors visit the Wizards. Curry playing above and beyond even his lofty standards. Last 11 games, scored at least 30 points a game. He has 78 threes. Atletico Madrid, Inter Milan, AC Milan, Juventus all dropped out of the European Super League. 6 Premier League clubs pulled out yesterday.
Hiring can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. But when you post a job on ZipRecruiter, their matching technology finds these qualified candidates for you and invites them to apply. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Greeny.
Want to save some money?
I can take money and I can make it into more money.
Just check out our zone deals online at 977ESPN.com. We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You need to be more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. Guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you. Hey, I see you, dog.
So settle in and get hear bark on. That's my dog! Now live, here he is, the big dog, Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like Elle McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond? Get off my
Have to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
Yeah, he's got to get sick of hearing this. You know? I don't get sick of hearing it. But Dave Parker probably gets sick of hearing about it. Welcome back, Thom Abraham Show.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
Dave Parker joining us now on a Neighbors Wealth Management hotline. And Cobra, welcome to the show, man. Do you ever get sick of hearing the sisters laying that down, or what?
No, you never get tired of that one. That was one that we all rejoiced in.
Did you ever get to meet them? I mean, did they come out to any of the World Series parties or any of that kind of stuff? Did you ever meet them?
No, I never met them. I didn't go to the World Series party. I stayed at home.
Really? What was up with that?
Well, it was a rough year.
Yeah. Yeah, well, 79, yeah, it was a rough year. Not 78 when you won that MVP. Of course, Dave Parker, 339 home runs, 2,712 hits in his career, a couple of batting titles, 7 times an All-Star. And, you talk about that being a rough year, but that 89 team that you played on in Oakland, the Earthquake World Series team, a lot of those guys actually played in Huntsville, where our home station is here in the Tennessee Valley. I've heard you say in the past, though, that team was better than the 79 Pittsburgh team.
Yes, we had better players. We had Ricky Henderson leading off, Connie Langsford hitting second, Conseco hitting third, I hit fourth, McGuire hit fifth, Steinbach hit sixth, Henderson hit seventh, Phillips hit eighth, and Walt Weiss hit ninth. That's an all-star team. And they had better personnel than the Pirates. The Pirates was probably mentally tougher than Oakland because they had guys that played harder and was a little more charismatic than Oakland.
Yeah. Dave Parker has a new book out. It is called Cobra, A Life of Baseball and Brotherhood, and written along with Dave Jordan, and it is available everywhere. And this is going to be a great, great read. I can't wait to get into it. It's a great summer baseball book if you're into baseball, especially from that era. There's no doubt about it. Cobra, where did the nickname come from? Who dropped that Cobra on you?
That was done by Tony Borderone, who was our trainer. And he was a big boxing fan. And we had Edgar Charles that came from Cincinnati, who was a heavyweight champ. And Tony just associated me being from Cincinnati with boxing. And he started calling me the Cincinnati Cobra.
Ah, all right. And you grew up right down the street, not too far from Crosley Field, right? Didn't you? I mean, you were in your mind, that was probably what you wanted to do. Ultimately, you do play for the Reds, but I would think that you grew up a big Reds fan just down the street from Crosley Field.
Yeah, I was a block over, 1 block over from Crosley. Wow. I saw the players come in every day. Frank Robinson and Vader Pinson had these porthole window Thunderbirds. They both had a white one with red interior. And that left a lasting impression on me. I definitely wanted to be like Frank and Vader.
Yeah. Of course, we're in big-time football country down here in Alabama, but, that was something that you originally thought about doing, right? I mean, dude, you're a big guy. You had thoughts about maybe being a Buckeye, maybe playing some football.
Yeah, I had that in my plan. I had a plan for my career, and Ohio State was. I wanted to go and play football for Ohio State, but all that changed my senior year of high school. I got my knee torn up the first game of my senior year, and that changed everything.
Yeah. Yeah, Dave Parker with us from the famous Pirates teams of the 70s, and then, of course, on to the Reds, the Brewers, and the Oakland A's, and those Pirate teams in the late 70s, man, it was just outstanding. And that World Series in '79, that was like quintessential. It was perfect to end the 70s. You guys in your black and gold uniforms, and the Orioles with their orange tops and their white pants, and I mean, it was pretty wild, just like the 70s. I mean, it looked like a beer league softball game when you guys were out there wearing those uniforms.
Yeah, we had some colors working, orange and black and gold and black. When we wore the all yellow uniform at the Pirates, me and Willie was called school buses.
Yeah, Willie.
Yeah, like two big school buses.
Yeah, the great Willie Stargell, Pops, as you guys called him on that. Everybody had a nickname on that team, right? Was there somebody in the locker room that was responsible to dropping all of these nicknames on everybody? Because you guys had more nicknames. There was this Slick and Candy and Easy and Sangy, Manny Sangy. You guys had more nicknames than you had players almost.
Well, I was responsible for most of the nicknames. Stargell Pops, I gave him that. Candelaria was Mean Face. We had John Milner called Old Country. Mike Easer was Easy. Hitman. So we had a share.
Yeah, you did have a group of guys. There was no doubt about it. And when you're coming up, I mean, Roberto Clemente, right? I mean, this is the guy. He's the right fielder. I don't know if you get to the show as fast as you get to the show if it wasn't for his tragic death on New Year's Eve in 1972. Just talk about, the young Dave Parker, the young Cobra's relationship with Roberto Clemente and what that meant to you.
Well, Roberto was considered the great. He was the great one, and he was. He was a 5'2" player, did everything above average. He was very instrumental in me developing as an outfielder because I signed as a catcher. And I went to spring training, and I was short-arming the ball to second base. And I had a good arm, but I wasn't maximizing the velocity of my arm. And Roberto worked with me in the outfield, showed me how to reach back and put about 10 more miles an hour on my throws. And he was instrumental to me for developing my arm and winning the assist title in the major league for about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. You had that all-star game in Seattle where you gunned down a guy at third, you gunned down a guy at home. You're named the MVP of the All-Star game. And I got to be honest with you. Usually it's, some guy like Reggie Jackson hitting one into the light tower or that kind of stuff. I don't know that I can remember a guy before that getting the MVP of the All-Star game off of throwing guys out. You know what I mean? Off of a defensive play. That was kind of an unusual deal.
Yes, it was. It was the first time it ever happened. I was the first guy to be awarded the MVP of the All-Star game from defensive effort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is something Dave Parker with us talking about his new book. All of it is laid out in Cobra and A Life of Baseball and Brotherhood, how tight they were back in the day. And, look, you were on a Hall of Fame track. There's no doubt about it. You've been close. I think you're a Hall of Famer, but obviously the book covers everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I mean, and you're not shy in the book talking about the rampant drug use in baseball in the 70s, what it, how it almost derailed you and what it meant to you. And that's something that you're open about in the book, right? In terms of, and what made you how you got started and how you got decided to stop that.
Yeah, it was something that was taking place in society. I mean, it was happening everywhere. And I just got victimized, got with the wrong crowd, and I dealt with it. You know, It was something that I had to be accountable for. I did it, and I stand accountable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's good. The accountability is a big part of that whole deal as well. Dave Parker, by the way, was the first player to make $1 million a year with his bonuses and everything else. He was, that's just how good he was in the 70s. There was no doubt about it. Another thing that you talk about in the book, and this is kind of weird. I hated, and I'm a little younger than you. I just turned 60 years old, but I hated Veterans Stadium and Shea and Three Rivers, all those cookie cutter ballparks. I thought it was great when Baltimore, built, the first stadium that kind of went back to being, like the old school parks. But you actually liked those. How did you liked those parks, huh?
Yeah, they were nice. You didn't have as many rainouts. The turf was hard on your body. You had to get used to playing on that concrete and a slab of rubber and the turf. It was hard to stop and start, but the ball carried well. Philadelphia was a great hitting ballpark. So was Pittsburgh. Cincinnati was great. And I just enjoyed playing on them.
Yeah. That's interesting because you don't hear that a lot. You also had the opportunity later on in your career to play for Pete Rose at the Reds. Talk about what that was like. I mean, Charlie Hustle, I have always said I think he belongs in a Hall of Fame as a player. If you want to put on the plaque what happened in that he was banned from baseball for betting on baseball as a manager, that's fine. But to have a Hall of Fame without Pete Rose, the hit king, as a player, to me is a travesty. I really believe that. But what was it like being around that dude every day?
It was a thrill playing against him, and even a more thrill playing with him. Pete played the game hard, and that was the only way he knew how to play. And whatever it took to win, Pete was that type of player. And I enjoyed playing with him, and I made a point of being on the field when he broke the record.
Yeah.
I was flying back and forth from Pittsburgh to Cincinnati during that 3-day period before he got the hit off of Eric Shaw. But I wanted to make sure I was on the field, and I did.
Covers it all in the book. What was the motivation? Why now to do the book?
Well, everybody had an opinion of Dave Parker. And nobody knows Dave Parker as well as Dave Parker. And I wanted to address some of the things that was written and said about me. And it was a prime time to do it. And I wanted to emphasize the relationship that is in the book. And I established some great relationships with players. And they could speak highly of me, well as myself.
Battling the Parkinson's, it's a well-known story out there that you're fighting it. How are you doing? I mean, how's it going for you physically?
Well, every day is something new. Parkinson's is a disease that nobody know anything about, but every day there's something different. Come out one day, feel great, and might last for a week. Then I come out another day and my legs are slow. I'm not moving as well as I should. But you play the hand that's dealt. And I take it as it comes.
And finally, do you watch much baseball now? Some old timers, they love it. Some old timers, they don't like to spend much time watching it. But will you spend a little time watching a game on a night-to-night basis?
I might be walking through the family room and TV be on and somebody be watching it. I'll stop and watch it, but it's too slow. I mean, if they're not fundamentally sound, the way they celebrate home runs, Bob Gibson would have probably had a whole slab of ribs in his freezer from hitting guys. But it's a different game.
Yeah, the slowness of it, I definitely get that. And what I don't understand, I don't know how you feel about them putting a guy on second base to start the 10th inning, but I sit there and I think to myself, back in the day, I mean, how hard would it be to get the guy over and get him in? I mean, just get the guy over and get him in. I go nuts. I watch a game. They put a guy out there on second base, and the side strikes out. I mean, everybody's trying to hit a 2-run homer all the time.
Yeah, that's all they think about is hitting home runs. They don't play small ball. They don't hit behind the runner. They don't bunt a guy over, like you say, move a guy to third. That's missing in baseball. That's why it takes so long to play the game, because they're trying to hit a home run every time they get to the plate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody cares about striking out anymore. I mean, I remember it used to be like embarrassing to strike out. You never wanted to strike out, and I don't think guys care. I mean, 200 strikeouts, they don't care. If they get 30 home runs, they don't care about 200 strikeouts.
Right. They have 30 home runs and 200 strikeouts.
Yeah. It doesn't seem to matter much anymore, but that's a whole other story. Well, Dave, I appreciate you so much. I can't wait to get into the book. The book is called Cobra, A Life of Baseball and Brotherhood. You're going to learn everything that you need to know about one of the great players from the 70s and 80s. A guy that had a great renaissance in the 80s in his career as well. 19 years a major leaguer, twice a World Series champion with 2 different teams, and he has been our guest. Dave, I appreciate you, man. Good luck and Godspeed with the Parkinson's.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Dave Parker. Battling the Parkinson's disease. But interesting, Joe, what he says about why the game is slow now, and how it just seems like, we have pitchers that are kind of walking around the mound. They just keep going around in circles and they get the ball. They don't throw the ball. There's a rule in place that says you have 12 seconds from the time they get the ball to pitch the ball. They don't. It's closer to 20 seconds. The umpires don't enforce it. And everybody is looking to go long ball. And I don't know if it's the sabermetrics or what the numbers are, what the data is that says that it's okay to strike out 10 times for every one time you hit a home run. I don't get it, but the ball isn't in play enough, and that's what you hear from a lot of old-time players. They say it doesn't seem like the ball's ever in play anymore, and the game is slow.
Well, and that's the reason why a league like the Atlantic League, which is an independent league, Major League Baseball is using it to test a lot of things. They're using that for the pitch clock to test that. You see that in SEC baseball play and stuff. A lot of those games move a lot quicker than that. They've added a couple of new rules, which I don't know if you've realized this or not, because it's kind of happened during your vacation. But the Atlantic League is looking to implement the DH rule that you like, where when you pull the starting pitcher, you pull the DH. And so there's things like that you're starting to see that are getting tested out, that they want to kind of figure out long-term plans. But look, at the same time, people are saying that baseball is down, but then you look at the numbers of streaming apps and things like that, and their numbers are up. So, the sport is much slower, but at the same time, the fans are just moving to a different platform to watch it. And you've got to figure out ways to kill time. Like, I multitask while watching a baseball game until it gets to about the 7th or 8th inning. Then I start to just solely focus on the game itself. But a lot of times I have to do multiple things to keep myself interested in a game.
Yeah, that's a great point. And the thing is that I do believe that baseball was always meant to be consumed kind of that way. I mean, we used to listen. Baseball originally was the great radio game.
That's where the word pastime comes from.
Yeah, the pastime. That's how we pass time. And it was the great listening game, and you'd always be doing something else. And that's how I take in baseball. People say, oh, do you sit there and watch a baseball game? I have a game on. I have baseball on every night. I have baseball on at some particular point in time. I'll watch the baseball. But it's kind of like background music. You know what I mean? It's there. The game is on. You pick your head up. You look up and see what's going on. I have afternoon baseball on in the studio. I'll have a game on, and I'll just kind of glance up at the screen because you know that there's a big moment that's coming up. It isn't necessarily meant to be something where you hang on every pitch until October. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you get
once October comes, you get down a run in the 3rd inning, you think the game's over. I mean, that's just kind of how your fan base mentality is, and that's why it's different in October. That's the reason why so many more people watch baseball in October. But the idea of sitting down for 3.5 hours or 2.5 hours and watching a baseball game isn't realistic. It was never meant to be that way, unless you are somebody that is breaking down every single pitch, trying to figure out which way the pitcher is going to go. And there are very few people that can look at that and do it in that way. And so that's why it is a pastime. It's not meant to consume, where you sit down and you watch every single pitch of every single at bat.
And I will say, it was never meant to be a 3.5 hour game either. I mean, baseball was 9 innings, was a 2 to 2 hour and 20 minute type thing. And Joe, I watched, it was been a couple of years now, but I watched it. It was, I think, 1952. It was like game 5, 6, or 7 of the World Series between the Dodgers and the Yankees. And it was like a 2-1 game, or it was a low scoring game. Anyway, they had it on in real time, not highlights, in actual real time. They had it on the MLB network one night. The whole game was 2 hours and 10 minutes. It was a World Series game. And it was amazing because you couldn't look away, because pitcher got the ball, he threw the ball. He got the ball, he threw the ball. Guy got in the box, never got out of the box. I mean, he was in the box waiting for the pitch. Why? Because as soon as the pitcher got the ball, he threw another pitch. And I'll be honest, I'm a traditionalist. There are certain things I don't like. I am a DH guy. I love this idea of both leagues having a DH, but you lose your DH when you pull your pitcher. But one thing that's not bothering me is the 7-inning doubleheaders. Those 7-inning games, I love the pace of those things. I'll be honest. I hate to say it, but I've said it in the past, that baseball as a 7-inning game, I wouldn't hate it. I really wouldn't hate it.
It adds urgency. It cuts down on the bullpen use. And you do feel like something that happens in the first or second inning matters in the 6th and 7th inning. And I think the biggest thing is being reminded that this is a 7-inning ball game, because a lot of times you don't understand the urgency of way it is. So I'm okay with the 7-inning game. Obviously, whenever I was playing in college, we would do 7-inning doubleheaders, so I'm used to that. In minor leagues, you're going to see that when the Trash Pandas get going. You're going to see 7-inning doubleheaders. All of that stuff is going to be, commonplace for the minor league system. So that sort of stuff isn't really bothering me. I do believe there needs to be a pitch clock. I think that'll probably be something that may get talked about in the CBA, because they're starting to meet and try to come up with those. I think that'll be something that's discussed. Obviously, the DH is going to get discussed, and those type of things are going to be implemented probably in the next year or so.
Are they still using the pitch clock that they put up? I know they don't enforce it, but remember a couple of years ago they put that 20-second pitch clock out there in the outfield, and do they even do that anymore?
Yes. No.
Is it a 1-year thing?
No. I know that they're still testing it in the Atlantic League. I think that they do it. I believe they may do it in the minor league system. I'm not 100%, but the way that the rule normally works is as long as the pitcher looks like when the clock hits 0 that they are about to pitch the baseball, the umpire doesn't enforce it. And so that's where a lot of times you'll see, it's like, it's at 0, call it a ball.
In spring training, when they first did it in spring training, it was like, okay, it's a ball if you haven't thrown a ball by the time but there is a rule in place that says you have 12 seconds from the time you get the ball to deliver the ball, and they just don't. And the umpire needs to enforce that. They never enforce it.
And a lot of that also comes with like the pitch clock. Like the pitch clock is only enforced in college baseball the moment that there are no runners on base. The moment a guy gets on first, pitch clock is not in effect. So that's another, for instance, of this. If you're watching and you're like, man, he's taking forever to pitch. What about the pitch clock? No, if there's runners on base, then the pitch clock isn't forced.
Baseball became, I guess it's always been the have and the have-nots. The Pirates are an interesting case study, though, considered a small market team. But the Pirates were a thing back in the day. The Pirates were always great. They had won the World Series in, I think, 61, the Bill Mazeroski's home run there. Then they had won it in 79. They were always good, though, in the 70s. They were always very, very good. They have not been back to the World Series since that 42 years ago. Since that time.
Well, and a lot of this,
they were close against Atlanta that year.
They were close to against Atlanta 2 years in a row, 91 and 92. But the thing that really started to kill the small market baseball teams is you can look at when they started adding free agency, because before free agency, you were getting your Detroit Tigers and you were getting the Kansas City Royals and you were getting your Pittsburgh Pirates teams and Cincinnati's and Oakland's winning the World Series, because the moment you signed with a team, team, that's where you were, your Baltimores and those sort of things. The moment that free agency took over was the moment that then you started seeing your Yankees. That's when again, people forget how much money the Atlanta Braves were spending in the 90s. Like, they were spending a ton of money in the 90s and 90 standards for how much money that they were spending to try to win World Series. Your Minnesota Twins stopped winning World Series the moment free agency really started to become a big thing. That's the reason why the 91 World Series with the Twins was such a big deal. That's the reason why anytime Oakland or Minnesota or any of those teams, Pittsburgh even, I mean, when Pittsburgh got into the playoffs like 4 or 5 years ago, like the whole nation was just behind the Pittsburgh Pirates because it was a very small market team. And it's all because of free agency. When the moment that the Yankees and Red Sox and Dodgers started being able to buy and spend the money on the players, they stopped looking in Pittsburgh and stopped looking in Kansas City and Oakland.
If you ever go back, Joe, look at the highlights of that 1979 All-Star game, the two guys he gunned down. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. The skills that he had. And it's, I'll tell you what, and I'll say this, I kind of touched on it with him a little bit. One thing is, I touched a nerve about why he wasn't at the 79 celebration.
Yeah, it was kind of a tough time.
I don't know.
It was a tough time.
I don't know. I've been researching it as we've been talking. I've been looking on the interwebs.
It's a long season.
Something went on there. I'm wondering what happened there. Now, I kind of, when he said it, something popped into my head. It's like, what was going on with that? Was he hammered? I don't know what it was, why he wasn't there, but I'm looking to see the story. Or was that when because he didn't end. I know he had gotten into an argument with management and things like that, but it wasn't after 79 that he left. I think he stayed there for a few more years. He had the cocaine abuse and everything else. Those are the things that kept this guy out of the Hall of Fame. I'll tell you, I'll give you a comp. Dave Parker was Darryl Strawberry before Darryl Strawberry was Darryl Strawberry. Dave Parker was a Hall of Fame type player that took himself out, with a lot of self-inflicted type stuff by getting, the cocaine abuse and all of those types of things. He was a great player. He owns it, like he said, accountability, but he owns it now, in his mid-60s. And, I think that was the thing that he should have been a Hall of Famer. His numbers are very, very close in terms of the right fielders that are in the Hall of Fame. For 5 years, he was a Hall of Famer, but just not quite there, man. Just not quite there, but he should have been. But I can't figure out. I've got to find out what it was, what the story, the backstory.
It wasn't anything on field because he won a Gold Glove that year.
No.
He was 25 home run hitter that year.
I thought it was a story. I kind of just was remembering it was. I don't know if something had happened. I don't know if he missed the thing because he. I don't know.
He overslept. Maybe it's in the book. Maybe that's the reason why I didn't want to talk about it, because it's in the book.
Maybe, but I've got to see if it's out here on the interwebs. All right, let's get a break. Open lines the rest of the way. So if you want in, we're taking phone calls the rest of the way. 256-576-4977 will get you into the show. It's the Thom Abraham Show with Joe Hunk, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show with Joe Hunk on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brett Musburger's Action Update. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day. Now, here are the latest lines from my guys in the desert.
NBA tonight, the Hawks on the road against the Knicks. Atlanta a 1.5-point favorite, minus 120 on the opening money line. New York at plus 100, the over-under 218. Some money line movement on the main event of UFC 261 Saturday in Jacksonville, Florida. The challenger Jorge Masvidal at plus 315. The defending middleweight champion Kamaru Usman at minus 385. Baseball, the Braves at the Yankees again tonight. Atlanta plus 108 on the money line. The Yankees at minus 118, the over-under 9. Manager Brian Snitker said that Ronald Acuna's abdominal strain feels a lot better and that the team may have dodged a bullet. I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Wash your hands, avoid sick people, and touching your face. There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station. There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station. Wash your hands, avoid sick people, and touching your face. There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
The Alabama Securities Commission regulates the investment industry in Alabama and protects you from financial fraud. Anyone asking you for investment money must be licensed. Fraudsters attempt to lure investors by offering high returns and attractive products like a coronavirus vaccine or cure, rebuilding communities after a storm, or gold, oil, and gas. You are careful with your money, but fraudsters aren't. Before you invest, call our hotline at 1-800-222-1253 to verify the licensing of the person making an offer and the product. Call before giving your hard-earned money to anyone. Don't get caught in a get-rich-quick scheme. Learn more about the red flags of fraud and find free financial education material on our website at asc.alabama.gov. That's asc.alabama.gov, or call our investment hotline at 1-800-222-1253. Paid for by the Investor Protection Trust and brought to you by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
Due to the events of the last couple of months, to be honest, the Eagles Nest Golf Club on Taylor Mountain at Guntersville State Park has not exactly gotten much play. What that means is the course is in better shape than ever. And now as things begin to ease up, it's time to get back out there. Gorgeous views of the lake and wildlife, plus pristine playing conditions and dwarf Bermuda Tiff greens means this course is super playable. And yes, they are open for your enjoyment right now. Call for a tee time or visit alaparks.com/Eagles Nest Golf Course today.
Hey, it's me, your cousin, from Boston. I'm on the radio doing ads for Sam Adams. Now I'll be known as the Sam Adams guy instead of the dude who fell in the quarry. Sam Adams Boston Lager is crisp and refreshing, which is why I bring a 6-pack wherever I go, except the movies anymore. Sam Adams, from Boston with love. Here's a legal part. Watch how fast I can read. The Boston Beer Company, Boston, Mass. Drink responsibly. Now, is that 30 seconds? Are we even close?
You know it and I know it. Sometimes a brand new car or truck just isn't in the budget. That's where we come in. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and I want to talk to you about the advantages of buying a Ford Gold certified used car or truck. These are low mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties. A 12-month, 12,000-mile comprehensive limited warranty and a 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Woody Anderson Ford Gold certified vehicles have passed a 172-point inspection by certified technicians and come with a 24-hour roadside assistance too. You'll also get a Carfax vehicle history report and 22,000 Ford Pass reward points to use for future scheduled maintenance or other accessories. Plus, before you leave in your Gold certified used car, we'll be sure to give you a full tank of gas and a fresh oil change, even new wiper blades. Gold certified vehicles at Woody Anderson Ford. Hope to see you soon.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now.
and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialist from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, more of the Thom Abraham Show on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
Welcome back. Thom Abraham along with Joe Hunk. Glad you were with us. Pretty fast-moving show. Room for you to jump in if you want to jump in. You can do it now, 256-576-4977. Thom Luginbill, Dave Parker earlier on the show. Of course, you can catch all of that on the replays via the podcast and the video replays as well. Joe and I were beta testing one of our studio computers in the first segment of the show. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's probably our first failure that we've had in things that we have tested. Yeah. So, but that's what these tests are for. That's what we do. So we went back to what was working.
Joe, Nick Sirianni. You know who Nick Sirianni is, don't you?
Absolutely, I do. Who doesn't know? Let me Google that real fast. Nick, how you spell
You know
it?
what? It's kind of funny. You're not even joking a little bit, are you? Just
No.
like
Not
the head coach of the Eagles. You see what I'm saying?
Oh.
Is that the most random guy that was hired, Nick Sirianni?
Oh,
He's
okay.
the Philadelphia
of
Eagles
course I
head
know
coach.
who
Sure,
he
Nick
is.
Sirianni.
Nick Sirianni. Yeah, matter of fact, he used to be quality control coach for the Chiefs. Of course I knew that.
He was the offensive coordinator for the Colts. He today was pressed this morning to Jalen Hurts the starting quarterback of the Eagles. He will not name Jalen Hurts the starting quarterback of the Eagles. Now, I know they got Joe Flacco in there to quote unquote back him up, but he said that that's not the case. Right? He is not. He will not name Jalen Hurts. It's not like a lead pipe cinch that Jalen Hurts is automatically the starting quarterback of the Eagles. And it'll be interesting to see if the Eagles are a team that is inclined to move up at all in the draft from, they had slipped back a little bit through trades, and would they be a team that could kind of move up depending on what happens with quarterbacks? Because I'm going to say this right now. I would not be shocked, based on a lot of the conversation I've been hearing of late, I would not be shocked if all of a sudden Mac Jones started sliding on the board. You know what I mean? If he's not the pick to the 49ers, if the 49ers take Justin Fields, do you think that the Falcons are going to run to the podium to draft Mac Jones?
They should. They should.
Think they should?
They should, but they're not going to. See, the question isn't about Mac Jones. What it is about is when you start looking at needs of every team, and you start getting to after you get past the Falcons, which is where this is the reason for the word slide. Let's emphasize this, because the idea behind this, I heard Charles Davis talking about this yesterday. The idea behind this is not about the talent of Mac Jones. It's about the need of each team. And so after the Falcons, Bengals don't need a QB, Dolphins don't need a QB, Lions don't need a QB, Panthers don't need a QB. So automatically, before you even think about it, you're at the Denver Broncos at 9. All right, Denver Broncos they have Drew Lock. That's most likely not going to be their starting. That's not going to be their in-game answer.
They think it could be. I mean, I think that book is still out on Drew Lock. I think they think Drew Lock might be there.
And then you get to Dallas and New York. New York, they don't need cute quarterbacks. Then you get to Philadelphia at 12. That's where your next question is going to be. All right, this is go time, or is there another quarterback, or there another position that you're looking at more? Chargers don't need a quarterback. Vikings don't need a quarterback. Then that's when you get to the Patriots at 15. Patriots, that's going to be the question. So now,
they might not have to move to get them, because both Trey Lance and Mac Jones, one of those two guys will be, I think, going to be available. I don't know. There's been a lot of talk about the Patriots moving up. I don't know that they'll have to move up. I think one of those guys could fall all the way down to the Patriots.
Well, and that is now, it's not so much about now. You look at that group from about 5 until 9. Those teams, since they do not need a quarterback and they know how valuable a quarterback is going to be, you could possibly see a team like Washington, like potentially even the Jets, or maybe even the Steelers. Let's look at this. Again, Roethlisberger is almost done. All right. Honestly, people were shocked he came back this season. Roethlisberger is almost done. Yeah. So will the Steelers try to move up in there?
Well, they got the Wayne Haskins, They went and got the Wayne Haskins.
Yeah, sure. And again, you've got the Jaguars at 25. Is that going to be Urban Meyer's first big move there? Browns don't need a quarterback. Ravens don't need a quarterback.
They're drafting Trevor Lawrence.
They got Trevor Lawrence, so they don't even have to worry about it. So then you get to Browns and Ravens. They don't need a quarterback.
No.
Saints, in theory, do need one, but they've also put in a lot of money on Taysom Hill. And so that's why, all right, they got Jameis Winston as well. Packers don't need a QB. Bills don't need one. Chiefs don't need one. Bucks don't need one. That's the end of the first round. So really, you're looking at about 3 or 4 teams between the Jets, potentially the Steelers, Washington. Those teams could be the ones that could actually move up in this because they need a quarterback, and some of those teams know they could drop back. And that's where the question's going to come in. I don't think he's going to drop.
You think the Panthers would let one of those guys go by? Are you 100% sure that the Detroit Lions are comfortable with Jared Goff?
No, look, first off, they shouldn't be comfortable with Jared Goff, but they're stupid, so they're going to be comfortable with Jared Goff, and they should not be comfortable with him one bit, but they're going to be. There's a lot of money that's still tied to Jared Goff. See, that's the other part of this. There's a lot of money tied to Jared Goff. There's a lot of money tied with Cousins when it comes to the Vikings. So that's another reason why they're not going to go and get another quarterback, because they're not going to want to tie that much money up with just one position when only one player can be on the field.
Are they 100% Panthers? Are they 100% locked in with Sam Darnold? You know what I mean? They got Sam Darnold. They made the move to get Sam Darnold.
They traded for him.
They traded for him, but I mean, would they all of a sudden you look up and there's Trey Lance or there's Mac Jones? You wonder whether or not they would make a move. I don't know that the Eagles would let one of those guys slide by. I don't even know. I'm not 100% that the Lions would. I don't know that the Eagles would let one of those guys slide by. But I will say this: if I'm the Atlanta Falcons and it goes, Lance, Wilson, Fields, and let's say what's left on the board is Mac Jones, and let's say that it's Trey Lance. I think there are question marks with both. I think there are significant question marks with both.
Oh, absolutely.
If I'm the Atlanta Falcons and I'm sitting at 4, and it goes the way I just said, I think I pick Kyle Pitts. I think I take the freak that is Kyle Pitts and see what happens in the second round.
If Kyle Pitts gets past Atlanta, then Atlanta is stupid.
Yeah, I mean, think seriously. I would take Kyle Pitts, I think, before I would take Mac Jones or Trey Lance. I would take Kyle Pitts.
Well, the whole theory
Justin
behind
Fields was there.
Okay, but
what if San Francisco does take Mac Jones? Now Justin Fields, the Atlanta kid, is sitting there. I think I'd be. But I think if it's Jones, I think I take Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, and see, and I totally forgot, because I forgot that the Jets have 2 draft picks in the first round, so they're at 23 and at 2. So I totally forgot about that. So they're going to already have their quarterback.
Oh, they'll have their guy.
Yeah, they already have their quarterback. So, but Kyle Pitts is one of these generational potential players at that position that can make or break a team, because you can look at the teams, go back through the Super Bowl champions over the last 4 or 5 years.
He's a great tight end.
Almost every single one of those have a go-to tight end that can break it down, is faster than a linebacker, is bigger than a strong safety, and is bigger than a quarterback, and becomes a nightmare as far as a matchup is concerned. And that's the reason why it's such a big deal to try to go with a Kyle Pitts. Trust me, Penny Sewell is most likely going to go to Cincinnati, but if Atlanta is smart, they go ahead and get Kyle Pitts. You put that with that wide receiver core that they already have, and that is going to. Then you start saying, look, Matt Ryan has zero reason now to not be able to find somebody open at that point in time.
Preston hit the comments window with Pete Rose does not belong in a Hall of Fame because he made a deal to avoid prosecution. End of story. And he bitched and whined about it ever since. Would he have complained so had Bart Giamatti been around to enforce things? No, see, I disagree. I believe that this is what I would do. I think Pete Rose was a Hall of Fame player. I think he was a Hall of Fame player. And I would put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame as a player. I would not allow him to attend the induction, and I would put on his plaque, banned for life from baseball for betting on baseball as a manager. But I think what he did as a manager does not change the fact that Pete Rose was a Hall of Fame player. Ty Cobb killed a man with his hands. He's in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame is filled with reprobates, with bad dudes. I mean, O.J. Simpson, we take him out of the NFL Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame is loaded with guys that did bad things, worse things than betting on baseball as a manager. I would put Pete Rose in as a player and ban him from the induction, and I would also put it on his plaque that he was banned from baseball. But he belongs as a player in the Hall of Fame.
And I truly believe that it's going to be something that the day he passes away, the next Hall of Fame he's going in. And I think that, again, that's just part of his punishment in it. And the thing is that I wouldn't even have him recognized at the ceremony. I mean, it would just.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't even
having no speech, nothing. He won't even be able to be there. His family can't be there. And hey, look, he is being inducted into the Hall of Fame. There we go. But what's going to happen is, because look, as much as people want to like him, he's a slime ball. He is.
Oh, he's a slime. He's a terrible person.
He's
a terrible father.
horrible,
he was a terrible husband. He's a bad man.
And doing what he's done now to go with that company where he can give you gambling picks, like, look, you're an idiot, and you're just trying to make money and all this, and you're trying to be like, oh, I'm just trying to make money. Look, the moment he dies, he's going to go in. And that's what it is. Again, like Shoeless Joe Jackson. Shoeless Joe Jackson should be in the Hall of Fame. He's been gone for a long time.
He didn't know what the hell he was.
Yeah, he has no clue.
He hit like 340 in that World Series. That was. All right, one other note before we get to the break. I don't know if you saw this show. Mike Woods, the stud wide receiver from Arkansas, has entered the transfer portal, and nobody really knows what's up with it. His wide receiver coach left Arkansas to go to South Carolina, but I don't know if that's the issue. Woods says that that's not the issue. He says that he loves Sam Pittman, that the head coach. It was in his first year last year. He tweeted, Mike Woods, Saturday night after the spring game about how he and Treylon Burks and how good they were going to be, the best wide receiver combination returning in the SEC is Burks and Mike Woods. And Mike Woods, after the spring game, after all the tweeting good stuff, yesterday, this morning, last night, whatever, goes in the transfer portal. I mean, it's weird, man.
Girlfriend must have broke up with him. Yeah, he just got to get off campus, man. He just can't see her with somebody else.
Somebody made.
It's not the first Arkansas player that's going into the transfer portal, because you also had an Arkansas basketball player go in the transfer portal and commit to Auburn yesterday.
Well, it is Arkansas. You know what I mean? I mean, let's be honest with his Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Look, and as much as I love Arkansas, like I seriously do, like if I could really see myself pulling for Arkansas. Like their uniforms are great.
Yeah. Now they went back to their old. Yeah.
They went back to old uniforms. The uniforms are great. The stadium looks good. They went back to natural grass. The basketball arena looks good. The baseball stadium is amazing. Like I could really see myself pulling for Arkansas. Yeah, but no, there's nothing to do in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Well, the new receiver coach is Kenny Guyton. And Justin Stepp is the coach that left. That was the wide receiver coach that left and went to South Carolina. And so people were speculating that it had something to do with that or it had something to do with Sam Pittman. Then he tweeted this. This is what Mike Woods tweeted. Arkansas is in great hands with Coach Pittman and his staff. The wideouts are in great hands with Coach Guyton. I will still and always will root for this state and the university. Thank you for welcoming and allowing me to be a part of your family. Want to make one thing clear. Coach Guyton and the coaching staff were nothing but great to me, showed nothing but love. Me and Coach Guyton actually go back further than y'all think. He is my guy. Great coach, better man. Stop throwing hate his way. This is not personal. Okay, Mike Woods, why are you in a transfer portal then? What the hell is going on? It makes...
telling you, girlfriend broke up with him, cheating with another wide receiver, man.
Weird. All right, let's get a break. We'll come back in. You know who knows? I'll tell you who knows is Darman. Drew knows. You know what I mean? He knows this stuff. We don't know, but Drew knows. All right, we'll be back. 97.7 ESPN.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show with Joe Hunk on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, "If you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself."
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Our latest zone deal is upon us. Log on to 977ESPN.com for Gunner's Landing. 2 rounds of golf for the price of 1, including a cart. Gunner's Landing is one of the Tennessee Valley's finest golf experiences. Just 35 minutes from downtown Huntsville, Gunner's Landing's 18-hole championship jewel is open to the public 7 days a week. Gunner's Landing offers you a golf experience like no other. Log on now, 977ESPN.com.
Terrell Technical Services in Madison offers a full line of environmental health and safety services, including industrial hygiene, asbestos, mold, and bacterial services, Legionella testing and water management plans, lead-based paint inspections, assessments and abatement plans, environmental site assessments, LEED certified air testing, and more. Their staff holds all EPA accreditations and nationally recognized certifications and credentials to necessitate your project to completion. Give Terrell Technical Services a call today at 256-461-9278 to discuss your environmental health or safety needs. And go Army!
Forgiveness. Wow, what a word. What a gift. All of us have done things in our lives that we regret. All of us have done things that are disobedient. All of us have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Thank God for his forgiveness. Thank God that he separates our sins as far as the east is from the west and remembers them no more. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor at Cross Point Church, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison. Check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Roll Tide, War Eagle, and yeah, you, the Vols fan. We got it all covered on the Thom Abraham Show.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
So I'm gonna watch it on TV.
The game's on. Oh, I almost forgot. I'll be right there.
We like sports and we don't care who knows. From shooting hoops to the Super Bowl. We like sports and we don't care who knows.
Football, tennis, hockey, golf.
The game is starting. Everyone is here. I got my snacks, my friends, and a beer.
So I'm gonna watch it on TV.
Are you ready for the football? A Monday night party!
So I'm gonna watch it on TV. So I'm gonna watch it on TV.
What to watch on TV tonight? Braves, Yankees, the second game of that deal. And if you're wondering about the weather, because this is just some weird weather going on. They're still talking about snow possibly tonight in Nashville.
Yeah.
it ain't gonna snow in Nashville tonight. It's supposed to be 30 degrees here tonight, 32, something like that in the areas. And it's funny. The Toronto Blue Jays are still in Florida playing in Dunedin, and you wonder, Joe, why aren't they playing in Buffalo? Kramer sent me a picture of Buffalo Stadium right now, where the Buffalo Bisons play, where they're doing the work to get it ready for the Blue Jays. Are apparently going to play there all summer long. It's got 6 inches of snow on the ground there.
Well, and that's part of the reason why the Blue Jays aren't able to play in Buffalo is because last year the Bison didn't actually need the stadium, right. Where this year they do because their season is going to be starting here in a few weeks. So.
Well, no, they're going to play, from what I understand, at least half the season. From what I understand, the Buffalo Bisons are going to play like in New Jersey or something. They're playing someplace else, so that the Toronto Blue Jays can play in Buffalo Stadium at least halfway through the season. The Bisons are going to play somewhere else, either downstate or in New Jersey or something. I don't know what the details are. It's something like that. Kramer knows. But they're playing someplace else. They're getting the stadium ready for Major League Baseball in Buffalo, which, by the way, was there was a time when they were trying to get Major League Baseball in Buffalo. The town is shrinking. I mean, that sucking sound here is the people leaving Buffalo. Yeah. I mean, it shouldn't even have a football team or a hockey team anymore. It's a little town. I mean, Huntsville's going to be bigger than Buffalo in about another 3 years. I'm going to be honest with you.
They have a big arena, though. They have a big arena. They have an NFL stadium, and
they're going to probably going to build a new NFL stadium. But they're like Green Bay. I mean, they're tiny. Buffalo is getting smaller and smaller. It's even smaller in my hometown of Rochester. Buffalo used to be. Rochester used to have like little. You know how Huntsville and Birmingham are, and Huntsville always had like little brother syndrome about Birmingham. But now, Huntsville proper is actually bigger than Birmingham proper.
Well, that's because when you pull when we've got some windows open around here, and when we open our windows, we don't hear gunshots.
There's that.
That's part of the reason.
There's that. Yeah. Hoover, Vestavia Hills, all of that. That's bigger than like our surrounding areas, than like Madison and things like that. So that's why the metro, the Birmingham metro, is still bigger than the Valley. But the city of Huntsville has now got more people, like 200,000 people, more people than the city of Birmingham. All right. Good show today. Good job by you, Joe. Good show today.
Thank you.
I'm Thom Abraham. Coming up next is Chuck Oliver, then Paul Feinbaum, then The Drive, then the Yankees and Braves. And the weather is going to be good tonight there in New York City, so that will happen. Have a great day, everybody.
Want to call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline? We have a new number for you. 888-256-5765.